disruptive.
America that I fought.
Weird thing to happen. Hello, one and all. Welcome to this edition of Kitz Corner. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So there's another expose in how much influence the big pharmaceutical mafia has on us and the media that we watch. As James O'Keefe, you may know him as the Project Veritas guy. You may have seen him in recent undercover videos I've seen on social media and went viral. We've seen him on, the undercover videos they did about the Pfizer technicians that were involved in the manipulation and using their powers to oppress people and silence people and censoring people, and cracking down on that. So now James O'Keefe did another big expose on his social media account, the O'Keefe Media Group. So, and this was released on Twitter here. It says, Fox News producer tells James O'Keefe, I never said we take the money from Pfizer. So he's making a phone call to a Fox News producer and executive to figure out if the media companies have accepted advertising money from Pfizer to manipulate and change up and to promote their agenda. Have they been corrupted by big pharmaceuticals? We could say yes, that it just seems like an observant approach, but James O'Keefe wants actual credible proof on this. So he called up with the Fox News producer saying, no, we didn't take any of this money. But then it says O'Keefe then proceeds to show video of his lips moving with the utterance, we're getting money from Pfizer. He then changes his tune and claims it was because he ambushed him at a lunch. So watch the video here and just see how intense this really gets.
When you say that we take money from Pfizer, what did you mean by that?
Yeah, it's Big Pharma.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because we would do all this stuff about COVID vaccines, and we're getting money from Pfizer.
We're getting what?
When you say that we take money from Pfizer, what did you mean by that?
I never said we took money from Pfizer. I think you're putting words in my mouth.
You said, quote,
And we're getting money from Pfizer.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Big Pharma, Big Tech.
dude, you're describing to me like the nature of the narratives, right? Like we have BlackRock and Vanguard who own everybody, right? They own CNN, MSNBC, Fox, you name it. That's what I was talking about, the self-censorship narrative.
Corporate media. It's corporate media, and you're beholden to advertisers.
BlackRock and Vanguard are in your ear. They're like, you can only say up until this point of what the truth is, and then you have to start pushing propaganda.
Yeah, it's across the board kind of like that, or you don't want to piss off advertisers.
well,
Yeah, it's like that. It's like that. We actually have people that buy us and then they control the content that we're saying, and that's why our journalism is biased towards these corporate figures, and that's why we promote a propagandized agenda and not actually have factual critical skills that any journalist should be having. Like, yeah, it's just the norm, right? BlackRock invests in us, and then we get a bunch of advertisers from Pfizer and big tech companies, and they just buy up the media and then control what we say. It's no big deal. No big deal. That's nothing to do with the descent of journalism. That's nothing to do with the decline of critical thinking. It's not propaganda. Like, it's just how the media works. You just don't understand. So it goes to show you. What actually happens behind closed doors. And again, the fact that he's trying to cover this up in the phone call by saying, no, we don't get advertising dollars, we don't get money from Pfizer, we don't do any of that. We're a clear-cut organization here at Fox. And the same would go for MSNBC, the same would go CNN, the same would go with any big media corporation that gets its funding from big pharmaceuticals or military contractors. It's all across the board. They will always say, no, it's just advertising. We don't actually get bought out. They don't tell us what to say. They're just there to advertise on our channels. Like, I'm not getting any endorsements. I'm not promoting any of this stuff. I'm not getting any kickbacks for this. I'm just some random person But as you can see from clear-cut observation, that when you buy advertising on networks, and when you see the advertisements like Boeing and Lockheed Martin, it's not to advertise to the general public, because why the hell would the general public need a B-52 bomb? Why would the general public need a 747 jet when they can't even afford food on the table? It's not there to advertise. It's there to buy the media so that they could publish their own agenda and push their own narrative. That is why corporate-sponsored media is propaganda. They're always going to be biased. They're going to be biased towards the corporate figures, because the corporate figures are the ones that are buying them out. And at least James O'Keefe, similar to me or any other person that you're watching independently on YouTube, we don't have corporate sponsors. So I can show you this. I'm not getting sponsored by any of these advertisers, any of these big giant conglomerate monopolies. I'm not being told what to say. But this Fox News producer has to change his tone when he's on the phone there, as opposed to when he's being confronted undercover about what he's actually saying. It almost seems like a Dateline episode.
I promise you that you said these words, and in terms of the
Right,
context,
but do I work in advertising here? No.
having someone like yourself say that is interesting. I'm just quoting you, though.
You ambushed me at a lunch,
Mhm.
but I'm trying to play ball here, okay?
I hear you.
You ambushed me at lunch. I mean, we were just, having chicken piccata, and all of a sudden you ask questions about journalism and ethics and whether we're bought by Pfizer. You ambushed me. I don't work in advertising. I mean, it's not as absurd as the one, scientist at Pfizer that was confronted by James O'Keefe. Remember that? Where he told a bunch of restaurant owners that they had to shut the place down. Lock the doors. Lock them in. I want you to get out of here, but lock the doors. They're confronting me. I feel violated. They're confronting me and asking questions. How dare they do something like that? Can't you be like other journalists and just go along with the story? Why do you have to have critical thinking skills? Why? Why do you have to question the narrative? So that really shows a lot. That is really interesting and highlights a lot. And I just want to remind people just how corporate controlled Big Pharmaceutical is. The alignment between the pharmaceutical industry, Pfizer, and the mainstream media that you probably watch on a daily basis, just how intertwined it all is. Just remind people about this.
Is brought to you by Pfizer.
CBS Health Watch, sponsored by Pfizer.
Anderson Cooper 360. Brought to you by Pfizer.
ABC News Nightline, brought to you by Pfizer. Making a difference. Brought to you by Pfizer.
CNN Tonight. Brought to you by Pfizer. Early Start. Brought to you by Pfizer. Friday night on Aaron Burnett Out Front. Brought to you by Pfizer.
This Week with George Stephanopoulos is brought to you by Pfizer.
This weather report brought to you by Pfizer.
Today's countdown to the royal wedding is brought to you by Pfizer.
And now a CBS Sports Update brought to you by Pfizer.
Meet the Press Data Download, brought to you by Pfizer.
This portion of CBS This Morning sponsored by Pfizer.
On how to find the hidden sugars in the American family diet, sponsored by Pfizer.
Even the one at the end is so absurd. Like, find the hidden sugars in your treats. Brought to you by an evil chemical pharmaceutical giant. Is you think they're really going to care about finding the hidden sugars, making you healthier? No, of course not. Because healthier people would be worse for consumer. We need to make people sick. We need to get people more in depth with debilitating sugars. Jesus. So goes to show you how intertwined it all is. But it's all just advertising, according to this guy. According to this Fox News at Night producer. Like, it's all just advertising. It's nothing suspicious. Don't take us word on it. I'm not in advertising. I can't say that it's controlling the media. So I just want to show this, just how much Pfizer has spent in the last few quarters when it comes to advertising. Not, manipulating the public, not propagandizing people, but, advertising, as they call it. So in 2020, Pfizer spent $55 million on social media advertising. As of early May 2021, the drug maker was on pace to exceed its 2020 expenditure, having already spent $21.5 million on social media advertising since the beginning of the year. Overall, according to the Kantar Group, digital ad spending by pharmaceutical companies jumped by 43% in 2020. Ironically, about the same time when people posting and sharing stories and articles and doctor's notes and medical dissertations were immediately getting silenced out. I wonder if there's a connection to that. I wonder if there's a connection between the fact that there are flooding social media with pharmaceutical advertising and the fact that a bunch of scientists and medical doctors and advisors were completely silenced out of social media. Just a hunch there. In sum, pharmaceutical ad spending totaled $6.58 billion in 2020. $6.58 billion in 2020. In 2020, Pfizer spent approximately $1.8 billion in advertising, down almost $600 million from its 2019 outlay. The year 2019 was itself a down year, as Pfizer spent $2.28 billion on advertising in 2018, a year where the company was the highest spending big pharma advertiser. And you just saw it there. They were advertising everything from news, traffic reports, the royal wedding, finding sugars on 60 Minutes, sporting events. Like, they were advertising up the bone. And it's nothing to do with, changing the narrative or buying out the media so they can have corporate control and manipulate the masses. It's nothing to do with that. Nothing suspicious at all. What is James O'Keefe talking about? Holding them accountable. Of course, they're, just spending, $6 billion just, for kicks. They're not trying to buy out the media so they can get even more billions of dollars off the absurdity, propagandization, fear-mongering campaign that they have cultivated into our daily lives and turned a bunch of people into big pharma cult followers. So deep cult followers that they've completely eradicated people out of their lives and segregated families and told a bunch of people that were questioning the narrative and questioning the entire COVID experience that they were deemed unfit for society. There's no correlation to that. And here's also this, which this, I don't even have words to say to this. So Pfizer's own Twitter account, because if they bought all of social media, they might as well have their own account, right? Pfizer Incorporated tweets out, "We're incredibly Pfizer proud." That's a hashtag that they came up with. Pfizer proud of all of our colleagues who worked tirelessly on the history-making undertaking of developing the first COVID-19 vaccine. Following the journey of the past year with the special National Geographic documentary, Mission Possible, The Race for the Vaccine. So, they are doing a documentary not on questioning pharmaceutical industries, not involving actual journalism involved, but they're doing a documentary to celebrate the big pharmaceutical mafia lobby that has oppressed criminalized and basically made people sick over the past few decades. And you saw when we did the video of the Pfizer files. We dove deep into that. You can check it out on Rumble because we weren't allowed to say it on YouTube. But the Pfizer files that were released on Twitter showed extensive damage that Pfizer has done to communities, to ordinary people, to civilians all around on a global scale. They have done permanent damage to humanity. And National Geographic, because they're bought out by pharmaceutical lobbies, are now making a documentary to pat themselves on the back for all the criminal activity they have done. So let's watch a bit of the trailer here.
The biggest challenge was the timeline.
How are we going to do this? We couldn't pursue a vaccine in a normal way. We broke the process.
How many people will die?
Yes, you're right. You couldn't do it the normal way, because the normal way, in order to create a vaccine, would have actually taken numerous amount of years. It would actually have to do trial analysis and data, and you have to question the science, and then you have to redo the data. Then you'd have to actually calculate your faults and tell people about the side effects. You know, what science is actually supposed to be about. Yes, you couldn't do the vaccine the normal way, which is why you had to lie, which is why you had to buy out the FDA, which is why you had to be so unbelievably corrupted. You had to buy out almost the entire government and scare them and propagandize them and fearmonger them and blackmail them and silence them in order to get your vaccine approved because of science. Which is why they had to buy National Geographic airtime to promote this documentary of them championing themselves of being a criminal organization.
If we don't have a solution.
Mission Possible, the race for a vaccine. Available now on demand on National Geographic. Paid content created for and in collaboration with Pfizer.
Oh, at least they added that at the end there. This is all brought to you by Pfizer. So is this even a documentary? Can we even call this a documentary then? Or is this just a blowjob after a pat on the back? When the criminals have bought out the media to do a documentary praising the criminals, that is just... my brain is just on fire. I don't know how people can look at that and champion this and think this is good. Because I know there's going to be few people that are going to be watching this and thinking that this is inspiring. That Pfizer bought themselves their own documentary to promote Pfizer. The most notorious evil organization on planet Earth. And instead of a documentary actually being skeptical of Pfizer, skeptical of Bill Gates and all the, lack of science that he has, or the lying, the underhandedness, the complete absurdity, the corporate capture of the COVID response, the authoritarian measures when it came to the mandates, when it came to censorship, when it came to truckers that have lost their livelihoods here in Canada because our government, brought to you by Pfizer, absurdly went against their own people and said they were misogynist, racist, and shouldn't be allowed in acceptable society. That was our own prime minister saying that on a French talk show. Instead of doing a documentary based on that, based on actual critical response, and building upon that, and looking at this as a scientific inquiry on what Pfizer has done to this entire world, they're going to congratulate the evil criminal mafia of the pharmaceutical industry. Because National Geographic is also brought to you by Pfizer. But as the Fox News producer said on that phone, I'm not advertising. I don't know what this is about. They just put money there and then we just show it. It's nothing to do with buying out our content. It's nothing to do with manufacturing a narrative. It has nothing to do with manufacturing consent. It's just that. It's just advertising. Just don't ambush me at lunch. Don't question my authority. Don't be scientific. Just go with the flow. That's what science taught us, right? Go with the flow. Not be skeptical. Not be curious. Not be questioning the narratives that are being presented. Not actually being interested in the narratives being presented. Just go with the flow and everything will be fine, according to Pfizer.